Back in 1998 or 1999, I was around 5 or 6 years old, and living in a crime and drug-ridden part of the downtown area. Our house had a giant backyard that was full of thick jungle-like trees and bushes that had been taken over by the earth. And also random passerbys. We knew this due to the heroin needles that were around, and half of a mattress that had once been on the forest floor that had since grown 15 feet into the air with the trees. There was also a path that people would use as a shortcut to the main road, so there was a lot of traffic with shady people passing through. When you're a kid, this is a nightmare of a backyard, so I was spooked since the time we moved in. I would complain constantly to my mom about someone watching me from outside my window when I would try to sleep. Once or twice, there had been times of him watching me, and he had shined a flashlight in my room. And I saw a flash of his face which I can still picture. His dark eyes burned through me, and for a while I never said anything, but eventually I told someone. My mom always said it was just a nightmare, and brushed it off for a week or two, while ignoring my relentless complaints. Eventually, after having to fight with me to go to sleep one night, my mom dragged me outside the next morning to prove me wrong. We went outside to my window, and to her surprise the grass had been stomped on only outside of my window, to the point that the grass was almost all dead, and mud remained. There was also tons of scratch marks from a tool of some kind outside the window, as if someone was trying to break in. I was in a basement with one of those small windows that don't open, so breaking in through there is super unlikely, but it still shook my family. My mom was horrified, and had started making plans to move, but we were so broke growing up, that leaving right away was not an option. Around that same time, me and my best friend, who was also my next door neighbor, had become inseparable. We hung out almost constantly, and had no sense of danger, and would do dumb stuff like go to other neighbors' houses, and ask for candy. Our favorite was this elderly lady, who always had hostess cakes for us. And we would actually go inside her house to hang out there. She was unbelievably nice, and took care of us in a way. Our parents had no idea we did this, but it was our little secret. One day we were playing around in the neighborhood, and my mom yelled for me to come home, so we could go pick up dinner just around the corner. We were only gone for 15 minutes at most, and when we came back to the house, we were in complete shock. The street was closed off with crime scene tape, there were 2 or 3 news station vans, a dozen police cars, and a life flight helicopter getting ready to touch down, all while we were gone getting food. A man who was not from the neighborhood, but had been staying with his mom for the last few weeks, had walked past my best friend's yard, and saw her on the phone. She was talking to a friend, and making faces or whatever young kids do. And this man thought she was making fun of him, and talking about him on the phone. This man got so upset at the thought of someone making fun of him, that he walked back to his mom's house, and came back with a butcher knife. And was planning on killing this girl for mistreating him. Because of where she was sitting on the porch, she could see him coming back with the knife, and ran inside the home and locked herself in the bathroom. And called the police with the phone that she luckily already had in her hand. Unfortunately, my friend's mom was in the kitchen, and was not as lucky. The man took his anger out on her mother, and stabbed her so many times, that I can't even remember the number. But I think it was in the 20s. Edit, I pulled the Salt Lake Tribune article from 1998, titled Man Booked in Stabbing, and it was 7 times, not 20. Somehow after the amount of times her mother was stabbed, she survived and made a full recovery after many surgeries. After his arrest, the story was all over the news, and I remember watching it with my mom pretty religiously, to make sure my friend's mom was all right. They posted his mugshot, and I remember the most intense amount of fear flowing through me. The man who stabbed this woman was also the man who would watch me outside my window. I later found out that we had met this man weeks earlier at the elderly lady's house we frequented for candy. It was her son, and he had initially met us at her house, and had been keeping an eye on us ever since. He had only gotten out of prison a month or so earlier, and was staying with her since his release. I never took note of him when we first met, but maybe if I did, I would have known right away who my night stalker was, and could have prevented all that happened after. We never did end up moving. My mom figured the danger was gone, so we stayed another year. To this day I never sleep with blinds open. To the creep who would watch me sleep, and tried to murder my friend and her mother, I hope we never meet, and you're rotting in jail somewhere. Please hit the like button and subscribe. Don't forget to also press the bell icon button for notifications. Thanks.